Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Adult Child of Dysfunction. Today, we have with us Denise Willis. She is a life coach, an author, and a speaker. She is profoundly committed to empowering women to rebuild their lives with confidence and self love. She has over 30 years' experience of overcoming toxic relationships. She leverages her experiences to inspire and guide women on their paths to recovery. Her book, The Book on Loving Yourself, offers many practical tools, but I am assuming we're going to get some of those practical
Mm.
tools here today. So, welcome, Denise.
Hi, thank you, Tammy. So glad to be here. So glad.
Oh, yeah. So, we were talking just a minute before, and I still have this one comment you made running through my mind that said, I was married 7 times.
Yep, yep.
So,
Not
yeah,
not proud of it, but it happened. It takes as long as it takes to get it
well,
right.
and I'm assuming because being with your past, and we will go into more about your past and how you got there and everything else, but toxic relationships were probably all you knew.
That's right. And I
And
attracted them like a magnet.
oh yeah, I mean but it's comforting. I tried to explain this to someone the other day, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong or how you kind of feel about this, but your brain likes familiarity.
Mhm.
So even though you met that guy and there might have been red flag, red flag, red flag, like this is not the guy from me, but you're still drawn to it because you still know how to maneuver it and you still know how to do your version of safety in it. I know that sounds almost diabolical, but it happens, right?
No, I know exactly what you mean. Yes, you can navigate it, and you're like, oh, I can handle this. And you've learned over the different relationships certain tools that work. And even though it's still a crappy relationship in your mind, like you said, it seems normal.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're married now happily?
Oh, yes, 12 years.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen until after I got coached in therapy. Once I healed myself, I finally attracted a really great guy.
So we were also taught, well, congratulations. That's good. Yeah, I've been with my husband for 23 years. I think
Oh.
23 years. So is how good. I'm not a good wife. I have to call my daughter and ask her when my anniversary is every year. But I think it's 23 years. But it does. It takes some kind of ironing out the bumps and grinds and figuring, like I always said, if I got married 4 more times, each I would have a certain boundary with each guy because I get better. Like I'm like, okay, I can do boundaries now, but it was only this one thing that ticked me off about my first husband, so we won't have that again. I'll never settle for that. So we're all so just talk to me. Like what was your experience? Like why we talked about how everybody has trauma, everybody's kind of overcoming things. Was yours from childhood, or did yours start with your first set of relationships?
Well, what set me up was childhood. Okay. My mother basically, I had to be a people pleaser. She withheld any and all affection unless she pleased her. So I became a people pleaser. And when I did that, that was all I knew. So as I grew out to be an adult, I put that same kind of energy out, and every man that felt like he could control me was attracted to me.
Oh,
And so then I just one pattern after another, pleasing this one until I'd had enough abuse, and pleasing this one until I'd had enough abuse. And, at one point I went through a marriage where I was beaten and strangled and raped. And that when I left, I was ready to run out of the house naked because I was so scared because he pulled a knife on me. I got out of that one and I lived on my girlfriend's floor in her living room for 3 months, put a restraining order out, but finally felt safe. But I still wasn't healed. I still,
no.
unfortunately, attracted not physical abusers, but emotional abusers, which sometimes I think is worse because it takes longer sometimes to get over that emotional abuse. Physical, if you're not really hurt bad, you heal quick. But no, I
Oh,
didn't learn my lesson. I went years and years and years from one to another.
well, and it's because if you didn't have that validation, again, it all stems. I say everything goes back, no matter what it is, whether it's relationships, problems at work, problems at home, problems with friends, whatever it is, it all stems back to the beliefs from when you were a child. So
Right. And our
go ahead.
parents aren't bad. They just didn't know any better. My
No.
parents raised me the way they were raised. And I know my own mother's mother told her she liked my mom's sister better than my mom. How do you think that made my mom feel?
Yeah.
You know? Well,
So it's and that's just with the generational trauma. And it's crazy now because so much of it with like learning about epigenetics and stuff like that. Like it's like I told my children, even if I had never picked up a bottle of alcohol or never picked up alcohol. My brain, because of the trauma that I endured from growing up with two alcoholic parents, my brain is different, which means I passed on that DNA to you.
Mm,
So you are by default a para-alcoholic, whether I never drank or not. I am technically, like, it's my thinking, my patterns, my thought patterns,
mhm,
my habits, my coping mechanisms, because it's all generations of not teaching emotional intelligence, not teaching how to cope, not teaching how to stand up for yourself or have a voice and
right.
all these things.
Mhm.
So was there alcoholism involved in your mom, or was it just like
No,
addiction?
I think she was somewhat, now that I'm older and understand more about it, I think she had some narcissistic tendencies. So
Makes
I didn't realize that until just this past year. But somebody mentioned it, and I said, now that you mention it, they were not what I was used to, the big, full narcissist, crazy person, but she had her ways and could manipulate you. So yeah, some of
well,
that.
and the silent manipulation and they have the covert versus the overt narcissist. So it's like those are the ones that are more deadly. If
Hmm.
somebody is out there berating you and making you feel this big in front of people, everybody sees it. That's one thing. But it's
Hmm.
when you get those jabs all your life, just, she's always right, you're always wrong. And the manipulation, it's bad. I mean, and you don't even, like you said, you're not even able to defend yourself because you're not quite sure it's happening.
Right, right.
I
I,
remember
re
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, as a little girl, I remember I was only 3 and I tried to stand up to her. And I remember her, she wouldn't tolerate it. She grabbed me and she threw, you remember ivory soap. You're old enough
Uh,
to know what ivory soap was, and
I
shoved a
still
bar in
like
my
Ivory
mouth.
soap.
Shoved a bar in my mouth. And I was like, well, good, I like it. But I didn't. And you know what? That shut me down. After that, I did not ever really stand up for myself again.
Oh
Just
my
some,
goodness. You just gave me the worst chills because one of the times I remember so much as a child is getting reprimanded with a bar of soap. And that was my response. I was like, you're not hurting me. I like it. The beating that came after that.
oh dear.
But it was like, wow. But it was. But then I learned very, very, very quickly it is not safe to say what you want, say what you need, or argue or try to tell you you're wrong in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. They raise you, they don't mean to, but they raise you to be needless and wantless. And you
Mm-hmm.
and you go through life pleasing everybody else and ignoring yourself and what you need.
Oh, yeah, self-care and just loving yourself and giving yourself some compassion and we still do it. I mean, it's not something you're going to ever completely and totally get away with, but now I have to when I make a decision, like let's say I have plans to go somewhere and my 30-year-old son who is still living with me, God love him, graduating pilot school or whatever he's doing, if he asks me to go to lunch, I will drop my plans and I will say, let's go. And I always have to sit there. And my husband's like, well, why did you give up your plans? And I sit there and I go, it used to be because I would do anything not to lose his affection or whatever it was. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Because that's what
Right.
I was at. But now it's like, because I would rather spend time with him than what my plans were. So you have to, I mean,
Yeah,
now I'm very confident I said no to that other thing because I'm going to do what makes my heart warm.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You learned your values, what was valuable to you, and then basing all your decisions. I use my values as my compass. Are they in alignment with what I truly believe and want? And if not, I'm not doing it.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go to that for just a second because people, if they haven't heard the episode and we talk about how to establish those core values, I don't know what episode it is, but we can go back and visit that. But I'm going to reiterate that because a lot of people, if you say let's say you're brand new into the therapy or the self healing or the wanting to have more like in your life mode, let's say you're brand new at this, and somebody says you got to start setting boundaries. Just set them around your values. How do you know what your values are?
Well, on my website, I have a resource, but the thing is, you can also Google it. Google it. I started off with my coach. I didn't know. She goes, "Do you have any values?" I went, "I don't know." So she gave me a sheet of 100 of them, and she said, "Pick 20, sleep on it. And the next morning, pick 10, pick whatever resonates with you. And then the boundaries. I didn't know what boundaries were either. She had to teach me boundaries. I didn't realize that no was a complete sentence.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would to the viewers that are listening, viewers, audio, whatever, you can Google a lot of this. You can also go to Tammy's website or my website. We have resources there. But boy, it all starts with self-care, self-love, values, putting yourself first for once in your life. Because as women, we give so much of ourself away. There's when your cup is full, you can give from the overflow. But when we give and we give, you're not really doing yourself a favor. You need to take care of yourself, and then you have actually more to give.
It's You're very right about that. I actually, it's ironic. Yes, just yesterday I posted on Instagram because I have one of those biofrequency scanners. I don't know if you've ever seen them.
Uh-huh.
And so it scans using your voice. It will scan all of your emotions, your meridians. It'll tell you kind of where you're off energetically. And yesterday, I no, it was 2 days ago. My quote was, "For self-care and boundaries." Well, that this is what it came up with me. Right now, you are suffering basically. Poor self-care and boundaries. Why, ironically, you are working hard to serve others.
Good
And
one.
I circled it and I put it on my Instagram and I was like, touche, guys. So you can't pour from a half full cup.
Hmm.
And so and I still struggle with it all the time because right now I'm in the middle of another project and it's all about everything else, like making sure everything is in place. And I have to stop and say, what do I need right now?
Right, right.
But I'm going to send, we'll put the link, obviously, the link to your website will be in the show
Yeah.
notes. But as another side note, like if you're struggling and people say, well, and you're going, oh God, I know I got to set boundaries, but I don't know where to start because I don't know what I stand for. I did an exercise with all of my clients where it's literally like you picture your most joyous time, your most joyous things that happen in your life, and you write down everything. And I'm sure these are probably on your list of 100 that your therapist gave you
Hmm.
or coach, but whoever, I'm not sure what it was. But write down everything that surrounds that moment or that time or that experience, and then think of something horrible or something bad or somebody you don't want to be around and write down everything that doesn't stand for that. So it's almost like I made it my non negotiable list.
Hmm.
So these are the things I value, and these are the things that I don't. So let's say honesty. Let's say my mom, lied to me all the time. So honesty is one of my values. If I went out on a first date with someone, I'm saying hypothetically because I've been married
Yeah,
23 years, so I passed that.
I
But if
got
I
it.
would to go out on a first date with somebody and I caught them in two little white lies, non-negotiable. Bam, done. Have a good day. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, but that wasn't us long time ago, was it? We let lie after lie go by and forgave them, and now we value. You're right. We value ourselves enough that we want to take care of ourselves. We're not going to tolerate that stuff anymore.
Exactly. And now we know what we stand for. I remember the first time a therapist said to me, well, what do you like to do? Like, who is Tammy? And I was like, she's whatever you need her to be. I can be tough. I can be weak. I can be strong. I can be boisterous. I can be a fly on the wall. I can be happy. I
Mhm,
can be sad. I'm whatever I need to be to fit in.
mhm.
Was literally my. I didn't know who I was. I was like the chameleon of chameleons.
I understand.
It's crazy. So talk about your book.
Okay, well, my book, the book on loving yourself, it's pretty much my memoir from childhood all the way through to the narcissist who got me to drop on my knees and almost I felt broken. I could not work for 3 years, Tammy. 3 years. I was so
Wow.
grateful Daddy had left me some inheritance and I maxed out my credit cards. But that's when I found a coach and a therapist. And that's also when I heard Spirit tell me, you're looking outside of yourself for love. So I learned to love myself. And just like you said, I did not know who I was. When I moved out and lived by myself, I had to find out, what does Denise like to do? What color does she like? What shows does she like? And in addition to the boundaries and the values, and rediscovering who I wanted to become. I mean, who I was and who I wanted to become, because I wanted to become so much more than what I was. And I cannot tell you how happy I am. I love my life. And I want other women to love their life. And I love myself. And my book is just my story of all the abuse. There's always little takeaways in the back of the book. And I also survived breast cancer.
Mm.
And my husband could not believe, my current husband could not believe how fast I went through it with my faith. And I've shared that with many other women that are, because I belong to several breast cancer foundations, that, just God will hold you. God will take you through it. It'll be okay. And it is okay. And I can't believe what a mouse I was way back when. And now I'm like a roaring lioness. I love it. I love it. And I understand why you want to help so many people. It's just a passion of ours.
Absolutely, because nobody, and nobody should have to spend the tens of thousands of dollars it took me in therapy to do it either. I'm like, some of the things, if somebody had told me the simple steps
Yep.
and the tricks to do 30 years ago, wow, my whole
Uh,
trajectory but I don't look back and go, I wasted
right.
30 years. I was healing, I was growing, I was becoming who I wanted to be.
Right.
But boy, I can help people jumpstart that.
Amen, sister. Amen. I hear you. And the thing is, we don't want anybody to stay stuck, and they need to know they're not alone. We have all, not all, but you and I have definitely experienced this ourselves. Don't be ashamed. Don't feel guilty. Come out, reach out, ask for help, and we can get you there a lot quicker than I agree the same thing. I wish I hadn't gone through it, but I had to. And you know what? I have an experience now that I can share with others. So it had a meaning.
It definitely, and that's it, when you have a purpose, when you have a why, then keep going, you'll just keep going. And
Right.
a lot of people get to that point and they're just like, I don't know why I even this. And everybody has a purpose. Everybody is beautiful. Everybody is amazing. I say, and for a long time, I kept saying to myself, I just want to be more. I want to be better. And it was finally a coach that said to me, Tammy, just go back to what you were when you were born. You were born joyous, happy, amazing, beautiful, perfect, divine. And then life happened and all of this stuff happened to you and everybody else told you who you were going to be. And it's the
Mhm.
same message you got. Start looking inside and going back to that original person. Going
Right.
back to who you were born because she's in there. She just
Right.
ran into a bunch of crap along the way and it changed her lens of how she looks at the world.
I agree.
So crazy.
It is
So,
crazy.
but so talk about what are some tips and things that you use for people that you coach and to kind of jumpstart them, help them get started.
Well, one of the first things I do with my girls is I call them girls because I'm 73 and I feel young at heart.
You look young.
Thank you. And I act young. I like a kid. So I did go back to way back when. But one of the big ones is self-care. We got to start working on self-care. And what's funny is some of the girls, as I started working with them, I was going, you know what? I'm not doing enough self-care myself. So it's got to practice what you preach. So I was like, let me put some of this day-to-day stuff aside and do some stuff for Denise. But self-care for sure. And I'm a huge, besides boundaries, values, affirmations. Affirmations will literally rewire your brain. And a lot of people think, okay, you're just repeating the same thing over again. Well, yes, you are, but your subconscious will eventually change the neural pathways. When you smile, you leave endorphins and serotonin, those chemicals leak
The
out
happy
into your
hormones.
brain. Same thing with the affirmations. I remember the first time I did them, I was like, I'm a good person. I cried for 2 weeks. I looked in the mirror and said, I'm a good person. And for 2 weeks, I would repeat it and cry and cry. And eventually I started believing it. And it was true. But for whatever reason, the subconscious hadn't grabbed a hold of it until after going through that. So they're just small practices, but they work. But the one thing that I was hungry with, and I'm sure you were too, I did the work. Some of the girls I've worked with, they're not doing the work. They're just complaining about, and toxic workplace is the same as a toxic boyfriend-girlfriend relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the girls I'm working with now is toxic workplace, and that's all she wants to do is talk about that. I'm like, you need to focus on you. So I don't know. Those are just some of my tips. I have
And it's,
tons.
oh, and I mean, but yeah, I was going to say, I was just looking, I love this thing to be packed full of golden nuggets. And people,
Mm,
if they just make one small change, just
mm,
I always start people with the gratitude because you
mhm.
have to be grateful for what you have or else you won't get any more. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's kind of
Yeah.
like the universe. I mean, I'm very big into like the universe giving you manifestation and things like that. But I remember times where I had people say to me, Timmy, how can I be grateful? Like, I don't even have a place to live. Well, be grateful that you're talking to Tammy right now,
That you have a breath, that you're
that
taking
you
a
have a
breath.
breath,
Mm.
that you're walking. Like,
Yeah.
be grateful that you have your health. Be there's always something.
Right.
And that is such a big part of my day every day and has been for many, many years. I always use the example that if my husband has like the worst freaking road rage in the world, like somebody cuts him off and he's like, throwing him everything and like, and it's not over. It's like all the way to the restaurant talking about how stupid Florida drivers are and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God. And in my mind, I'm like, wow, wouldn't it suck? Like, I'm so grateful that I'm never in that big of a hurry that I have to cut someone off to get there.
Right.
And total calm, total peace, just look at you got to find the silver lining in everything. And that
Hmm.
will literally flip your life around.
I agree with you. I have a gratitude journal and I used to write in it every single day. Now I just do on really things that really grab my attention. And when you go back and read that, oh my, there's miracles in there. Things, the universe does it. What you, what you
What you
think
think
about, you
about,
bring
bring about.
about. What you believe, you receive. Gratitude attracts more abundance into your life. So it's just, but you're right. When somebody's really hurting, it's hard for them to feel grateful.
It really is. And so you have to start small and it's a practice, but like you said, you have to do the work. If you
Mhm.
really want to get out of an unhappy place or you have to start making some changes and some of them are big and some of them are little.
And some of them are painful. I remember some of the limiting beliefs I had when I found out through my therapist. One of the things my family did was if you ask for help, that means you're weak. So I never asked for help. She's like, that's BS. And I'm like, what? I believe that for 50 something years. So I had to go through a small grieving process, release that belief, and then instill one that was more true for me. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, oh yeah.
They can be painful to let go.
They can be painful and very hard to let go. And it's so crazy how, and I'm sure you do this with your clients too, like just walking people back and rewriting those stories. And because eventually one of the biggest ones, like so many people struggle in business with money. And I remember my father made a comment to me, and my father really, he was a wise, wise, wise man. He was fighting his own demons. My mother was an alcoholic. He was sexually molested as a child. Like he was
Mm.
fighting his own demons and therefore lack of any attention, which I get. And I don't have any hard feelings, but he tried to do what he could do. I remember when I was 13, he told me, he said, my drinking, your mother's drinking, the way we've raised you, the way this household has been utter chaos. He said, we're doing irreparable damage to you. We're destroying you, and I don't know what to do for you.
Oh.
And literally, it sent me out into the world like that, done. Like I was so hopeless at that point. And then the other thing he said to me, and I fought, and I literally EFT tapped this out for
Yes,
probably
good.
3 years, like even
Hmm.
though I
Yeah.
like, and if anybody does EFT tapping or wants to learn about it, please reach out to probably either of us. I saw you
Yes.
light up. So,
Hmm.
amazing practice and it works for anything. But one of the comments he made is probably from Rich Dad Poor Dad or one book he read because he was very smart was Tammy, the people that you hang out with in your life and the people that you surround yourself with, that is where you cap. That is where you cap yourself. And that is the average of who you are going to become. And I am sorry that because of the way things panned out, I never got you in front of the right people. So you will never be able to do anything.
Ooh.
And it was like, I look back at it now and he was apologizing for his failure, but he set me up to cap myself.
Right. Yeah.
And now I know that. But it took me a really long time because I just kept thinking, oh, I was never around the right people. I mean, he was a very, 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 very intelligent guy who could have worked for the CIA, who could have worked for anything, but he got out of the military as an officer early because we were being abused.
Mm.
So he gave up everything for us. But in that, like we would have been around three-star generals and all these, big
Right.
people, and it would have, that's what our lives would have been. And instead, he struggled every day. So, but again, it's like it got so ingrained in me that
Mm-hmm.
I was never around the right people, so I'll never be around the right people. And I just had this conversation with someone yesterday because she was saying that she couldn't sell to somebody something because she said, I don't know if you listen like or watch what's going around, but everybody's broke. And I said, everybody's not broke.
They're not broke. They're
And you don't have to,
choosing how and where they want to spend their money. And maybe they are being a little bit cautious with the economy and the tariffs and stuff.
but I said, not everybody's broke. And I told her, I said,
Mhm.
then stop talking to those people.
Right.
Stop talking to those people that are hopeless, that don't feel hope to have better. Yeah, but anyway, that's just, we're going back to mindset. It's just crazy how deeply things get embedded. And but the good news is you can undo it all. You can
Yes, you can.
rewire every
Mhm.
single bit of it, no matter what your mindset block is, no matter what your limiting beliefs are, no matter what. Just talk to us, give us some more. To like tell us about how do you how do you find time to marry seven guys, first of all?
I never stayed married very long, about a year and a
Okay.
half. Okay, so that was fast. But I, well, that's, you don't really want to know that, do you?
No, I'm just kidding. I don't. Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm just, like I'm
And here's really bad. My mother said, you don't have to marry every guy you sleep with. And I was like, I haven't. I was kind of a wild child there for a while. And
yeah.
I remember being embarrassed telling my therapist, because she was such a proper lady, that I had smoked pot when I was younger. And she said, Denise, that's probably the only way you could have survived, the
Hmm.
way to numb yourself, okay? And numbing is great, but it's only temporary. And I'm telling you, once you can get rid of all those addictions and whatever, all those other things, you just can light up yourself. I mean, once you start filling yourself with all the goodness that's really inside of you, you just, your light shines and you don't need any of that other junk.
No, that's absolute truth. An absolute truth. And you don't look 71, by the way. Still, I'm looking at
73,
you
73.
73. Yeah, you're getting closer up on the camera, and I'm like, wow, you look really good. And
And
it's
I don't have a filter. I don't think I can see my wrinkles. I don't care. I'm happy. Age with grace. I don't care.
amen to that.
I just
You
say
got that right.
it's a number.
It's exactly right. I actually had a stroke in January, and since then I've
Mm.
really poured 100% into, came off all medicines, no, nothing. And I feel better now than I felt in about 15 years.
Yeah, I
And
know
I
the
think a lot,
docs keep giving us medicine and we don't need all that stuff.
no, and that's literally a whole nother podcast episode.
Yes, I'm sure it is. And I'm not a medical person. So yeah,
Yeah, no,
you can take
no,
that up with
because
somebody else.
I mean, yes, I'm just like, come to me, let me scan your body. I'll give you the right vitamins and supplements, and I'll tell you which chakras are out of balance, and we'll move from there. Like,
Yeah,
what kind of breathing you need to do, where you need to send your energy when you're doing it, and all that good stuff. So this has been delightful.
it
So
has been.
talk about like people. How do you work with people? How do they find you, and
Well,
what does it
sometimes
look like?
they find me on podcasts. Um, I do some book signings here locally. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. I do some speaking engagements here. I have a website. I post on social media. I don't get a lot of engagement there. I get a lot of likes, but it's just I'm fairly new I launched my business like in March. And so some of the girls came from the book signings here locally, and some of the other ones came from another podcast that I did. So I'm just now trying to work with somebody to help me figure out how to market myself a little bit more because I
Okay.
really, really want to help people. That is just my passion. I want somebody to go from where I felt or you felt at a low point and go to where they can be the best version of themselves.
And we're looking at you and know that I mean, when I look at you, when I talk to you, it's like my heart warms because I am looking at pure joy.
Yes.
And not many people can say that. It's,
I'm,
even you just, not many people can, but it's what you are putting out into the world. And that's what you're getting back
right.
because what you put out is what you're going to get back.
Absolutely. Right.
Absolutely. So I will put all of the links to your website and your book and all of that good stuff in the show notes. But before you leave, I know you've given so many little golden nuggets, but what would you be your, I don't want to say final, but your, words of wisdom, something to carry, the listeners can carry with them throughout the day to make their day a little brighter?
Well, just maybe an affirmation. I am worthy. I am valuable. I do my affirmations looking in the mirror, but you can post, I highly agree, putting them around the post-it notes around the mirror, walking through a doorway. I have mine posted on the door jambs. Just start saying it. Keep saying it. You may not believe it in the beginning, but I highly, highly, God created all of us in divine children, children of life and love. And even though somebody's crushed part of our spirit, it's only temporary. Just remember you're a child of the divine and you are worth so, so much. And start believing it. Just really start believing it. Say, I am worthy. Just start with that.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much, Denise, for coming.
Thank you, Tammy.
Oh, and for everybody else out there, just take a deep breath, put your hand on your own heart, and say, I am worthy, I am loved, I am way more than enough, just like I am right here, right now. Thanks, guys, and we will see you next week.
Bye.